always do. And does anybody remember what happened last time?
I remember there was a lot of food.
Yep. That kind of happened earlier in the session because you guys have been staying with a cat folk person on the station. Do you remember her name?
Myrtle, and she has these beetle familiars.
Right. Wrong game. But no, her name is Tabitha Twitchett. Even though you guys just know her as Tabitha. And yes, she is kind of modeled after the new chef from the Iceborne games, and so of course she prepares just ridiculously enormous, overblown meals that one could never hope to finish, but are incredibly delicious. And you guys started out kind of there at dinner, had some discussion about where to go next and where you'd already been on the station, and got to know your host a little bit. And you also had one of the other guests at the Space B&B that you were at come and visit for dinner. You guys didn't really talk to her then, but later, Rebecca's character, Kima, actually ran into her quite literally in the halls. And they exchanged some pleasantries at that time, and turned out that her name is Lynn Dragonsong, and that she is a Xenoseeker interested in becoming a member of the Starfinders, much like you guys are, and that she is hoping to get an in with the Starfinders by discovering what's going on with this mysterious spaceship that came out of drift space and was dragging a drift rock behind it. And the ship was called I've forgotten. We'll just skip past that until I find it later. Um, but you guys, so that's a bit of a mystery that you guys found out about. And then do you guys remember what happened after dinner once you'd kind of settled things and you'd gotten some sleep? And the next morning, do you remember what you did?
Did we go to the Starfinders and talk to Chiskis?
Yes. So you
I had fun
guys,
in a holodeck somewhere in there too. That
yes, you
was
did.
nice.
That was the night. Rather than sleeping, you spent some time playing around with your video games and other things. So you guys went. Oh, the Acreon is the name of the ship, by the way. The Acreon came out of drift space, dragging a drift rock behind it, and mysteriously the entire crew has disappeared. It's not been answering any hails, and their scans that they've made of the ship and the drift rock have come back rather confusingly inconclusive. Um, So anyway, you guys went and you talked to Chiskisk and informed him that your contact, Warvor Creel, whose name I will hopefully not get backward this entire game like I did last time, um, you informed him that Dorvor Creel had been killed when you arrived on the station, and so Chiskisk assigned you a task to investigate the circumstances surrounding his death to determine what was going on and who was at fault and who might have gained from killing him and hopefully get some justice for him. And also gave you a signing bonus for joining on. So you guys agreed to join that investigation. And we ended right as you guys had made your way back out of the Lore Spire complex and were about to reconvene in front of its gates to determine what your next course of action was. You've been given a few different leads. You knew that Dwarvor Creel was a mid-ranking member of the Starfinder Society who most of his work was focused on mineral prospecting, but he also took an interest in mentoring new and prospective members to the society. he had actually volunteered to come greet you at the station and bring you on board. You also learned that he is a native of the diaspora, which is uh, an asteroid belt that sits between Idari and Eox in the Pact Worlds. And you guys found out that he has some ties to other dwarves and mining groups in the regions, and that there might be some leads there as well. So, you guys are standing out in front of the Lorespire complex, which is towering behind you, way up outside of the protective bubble from the top of the station, and all the way out into empty space. And in front of you is the same busy view as you had on the way in, with various travelers of different races and species coming and going from all directions. There's a fair amount of foot traffic, and then flying through the air on multiple leveled, kind of tiered arteries are flying ships, which are traveling and bringing people from and to their destinations. This is where you guys talk to each other and decide what you want to do next.
I thought we were heading to the downside.
I think that's what we should do. I think we should head towards the level 21 and the downside kings, is it?
Yes, the two groups are the level 21 crew and the downside kings. Both of them are in the area of the station known as the downside. So if you remember the picture of the station, the whole thing is shaped kind of like a top. And so you have, right now you're on this dome in the top area. The cargo bays are all on the wings, kind of the tips that come radiate out from the central point, and then the downside are the areas below it that descend further down in the station. And as you go down in this further and further, it actually gets worse and worse, to the point that there are some sections deep down there that nobody dares to enter, where mysterious happenings and disappearances are known to happen from time to time, and even station security refuses to go down there. But
So I had a bit of a walk around, and I did notice that level 21 seemed, how to put it, nicer, friendlier, less desperate than the rest of the surrounding areas. So I'm suspecting that the level 21 crew has something to do with that. But they seem they seem to be looking out for the people. So maybe we could do a bit of snooping. They seem, I don't know, guessing. Trying not to use meta knowledge from last game.
Yep.
Well, I agree with that. I think we should check out the level 21 crew, because it sounds like if their area is nicer than everywhere else, then they're probably bankrolled by somebody, which could mean they have connections that we need to know about.
Alrighty,
Yes.
so you guys head down to level 21 of the downside. That's the name of the group, the level 21 crew. And is there anywhere particular down here that you are headed for?
I suggest we find a bar. Drunk people are easier to talk to.
It's definitely
easier to
a good
pickpocket
option.
from too. Am I right? Elbows, brawn. Woo. Sorry, names. Brain.
Yeah.
Anyway, brawn.
Do you even have points in pickpocket?
Does it matter? I'm a cocky teenager.
Womp
I
womp.
think I know everything. So yeah, let's go to a bar. Actually, am I legal drinking age?
You're space legal drinking age.
Thank you, Space. I love you.
Yeah, no, they're the laws, especially in areas like level 21, are going to be pretty loose. So if you were in a more civilized area or one that had more of a lawful bent, then I would say probably not. But you are in, the trade center of the universe where there are so many different races and cultures all competing for relevance that something like a legal drinking age would be almost impossible to determine or enforce. So, yep, you guys head down, and you find a bar called the Angler's Rest, and it has a great big lantern kind of hanging off from one side of it, almost like the lure on an angler. Um, and its doors are painted to have like long pointy teeth on them. So as you approach the entrance, a security guard kind of gives you a once over, and it doesn't seem to be a no weapons allowed kind of place. Otherwise, you guys, several of you are carrying weapons very clearly. It seems like he's more there just to remind you that there is somebody there enforcing some measure of order. And then he nods to you and hits a button, and the doors kind of split in the middle and open top and bottom. So it continues the theming of a anglerfish, and you guys are able to enter. The interior is very dimly lit. There's a thick kind of peaty smell to the air as you enter, and a low-lying fog seems to cover everything. At the front, there is a bartender. He's a heavily muscled and tattooed orc. He seems to be his large fangs seem to have been filed down, unlike several other members of his race that you would notice pretty immediately, based on how prominent those usually are. Um, and he's just kind of sitting back there polishing a glass and squinting at all of the current uh, I'm not thinking of the right word for it, but yeah, the current occupants of the bar, and there's a few people kind of skulking around at the bar itself. The tables, there's about half dozen of those. Each of which can seat 6 to 8 people. Those are probably about half full. And then at the back end, there seems to be a small stage where there is a band of I have to look up their name because I forget the name of the bug aliens every single time. Sheerans. There is a band of 3 Sheeran who are playing a very synthetic, harmonic kind of music from the back end in kind of a trance pop style.
They're playing music with their butts.
I don't think that's what I said.
I'm sorry, that's what I thought you said they were playing music with their back ends. I was like, what?
No. They're playing synthetic harmonic music in a trance pop style.
Oh, okay.
In the back end of the bar.
Yes, they are in the back end of the bar on a
Now
small stage.
They're playing music in the back end.
Okay, I see the misunderstanding
Sorry.
now. Okay, so guys have come in. You don't seem to make too much of a stir. It's not one of those like Wild West scenes where the doors open and immediately everybody gets quiet and just stares at you. Instead, things kind of continue as they were before. And you can see the patrons. There's a few people with meals, and then most people seem to have some sort of imbibables, or several of them are actually partaking of uh, atmospheres that seem to have some sort of mind altering effects.
I'm going to go to the bar thing and order a drink. Like, I don't know, a girly one.
All right.
I want a space pink margarita.
There you go. Or what's the it's famous from some movie.
That's a lot of drinks.
It's got Cointreau and in it
You should get a space mimosa.
and
I should get a space galaxy. It's like a sunset, but spacey.
there you go.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna go try really hard to
I'm
Whatever.
get my
barely
face.
alive today, so I can't remember what it's
Yeah,
called.
I think all of us are barely alive today, but we're
we're
doing
all barely
this.
alive.
Cosmopolitan, that's what it's called.
Oh, I thought of
Ah,
that, but I was thinking Metropolitan, and I was like, that's not the right thing.
Yeah,
That's not the right
Cosmopolitans,
name.
and they're super good. So it's
Yeah,
citrus vodka, Cointreau, cranberry juice, and lemon or lime juice.
it's one of the few ways I like cranberry juice.
All right, so you go to the bar and you ask the bartender for a space cosmopolitan. So he looks at you askance for a moment and then kind of gruffly says, "All right." Um, and he goes over and he makes it, but it's not with Cointreau. He makes it with triple sec, and it's like it's close, but it's not the same. When you get it, you taste it. It's not the same.
but he tried.
Yeah, and given the kind of bar this is, that's probably as close as you're gonna get.
That's okay. I still drink my drink.
All right. What are other people doing? Sparky
I'm
is
trying
asked to stay
really,
outside
really.
by the security guard at the front. So Are you gonna make a stink about that, or are you gonna have him stay outside?
I'm just gonna say racist under my breath and then go in.
I think it's more about the fact that his arms are literally guns, but he might be racist against robots. You never
It's still racist. I mean, he can't help it.
know. All right. So what are
But I'm trying to get my face slapped somewhere, probably by 2 or 3 women at the same time.
okay. So you found like a small group of attractive ladies who are by the stage, enjoying the music. One of them is a Sheeran. There's an elf, and then also a halfling.
Is one of them goth
Uh,
or punk or
they're
some
all
such?
they're all space goth. So
Yay!
it looks like something out of like Blade Runner kind of goth.
There we go.
So you're over there bugging them. What about Braun? You up to anything?
Um, I immediately head to the bathroom.
All right. You find the bathroom. You actually have to exit the building and go to a small detached building out in the alley behind it. And it
Yeah,
seems to be
see,
a
that's what I'm
bathroom.
talking about. In
It
my
seems.
experience, the bathroom is always where the shady shit goes down.
There you go. The bathroom seems to be shared by like 3 or 4 different businesses, and you're pretty sure that, like, given the smell that's coming out of it, it doesn't actually flush. People just use it and then close the door. Uh, but yeah, so you were back there looking for any shady individuals, and you actually see a small group of young-ish, so not like kids exactly, but like, mid to late teens, who
Are they
are
juvenile delinquents?
they certainly look like it. They're sitting around in a circle, and you can hear them making quite a bit of noise, and you can see some motion going on in their group, but you can't quite see what's going on from where you are.
Um, so I try and tiptoe and like kind of creep in the shadows and get a little bit as close as I can get.
Okay, let's get a stealth check then.
Stealth +4.
Hey Jason, the volume keeps going up and down on your mic.
Yeah, I keep moving the microphone up and down because I'm eating dinner while I'm playing.
Ah, okay. We did the same.
Gotta do it.
Ooh, I rolled an 8.
And then you have a +4, so that brings you to a
No,
12.
no, no, I rolled a 4.
Oh, oof. Yeah, that's not great. So you kind of start making your way over there, and you're kind of trying to skulk in the shadows. And then you step on a cat's tail, and it startles you as much as it does the cat. And the cat actually doesn't make any noise; it just kind of scampers off. But it causes you to take a couple of steps back, and you kick a can like directly in there, toward the group that you were trying to sneak up on.
Oh boy. I just act like I was on my way to the bathroom.
Yeah, so they look at you for a couple of seconds, and they make a very ageist remark, and they're just like, look at the old imp over there. Oi, don't
He's
fall in.
drunk.
Hey, Graybeard, what are you doing around here? Um,
I just ignore them and keep walking silently. I can't
okay.
take it. I'm too embarrassed.
As you're walking toward the bathroom, you hear a child's voice coming from like a pile of pallets that are stacked up in one area, and you just you hear it, and it says, hey, Mister, you want a credit?"
So I definitely walk over there and check it out, but I don't respond yet. I just want to see who the hell is in the pallets.
So there is a clearly a child. Um, Seems to be a dwarf. Even though it's hard to tell sometimes. It's got like the stocky build of a dwarf, but it can be a little difficult sometimes to tell dwarves before they grow their beards apart from, halflings who are a little shorter but similar. But you would guess, especially having, grown up as a dwarf, this is probably a dwarven child. And he seems to have stacked up the pallets into a little tiny fortress. Not tiny, but it's a fortress, little square. And you can see he's got like a little escape route out the back, and he's got a tarp thrown over the top. And he's kind of just peeking out through a little makeshift window.
Uh, this is quite the fortress you got there, son.
Thank you, mister. I made it myself. Do you want a credit?
Why are you offering me a credit?
Well, don't you
Don't
like credits?
uh yes, I do like credits, but don't you like
I
credits?
do like credits, but you know what I also like? Goods and services. And what I've heard is that you trade credits for goods and services.
Well, now you're talking. So, what did you have in mind?
What kind of
Okay.
services? Ugh.
Womp womp. Good job, Wayne. Well, you see, Mister, I think that my space dog can take their space dogs, but and he points to the group of the kids in the circle over there, but they said that I'm too little to play with them. So, what I want you to do is I want you to take my space dog over there. Anyway, keep going. Take my space dog over there and enter him on my behalf. And when we win, I'll give you a credit.
This is a living dog. This is not like a fake dog.
Well, and he says, well, you know, the fake is kind of a matter of perspective. And so he reaches down and he pulls out a robot that is vaguely dog-ish, but it's almost more like a dog crossed with a scorpion with chainsaws.
Oh, so it's a robot dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked
Uh,
really hard on this thing. I've been spending every day for months building this thing, picking up pieces of scrap out of the garbage to put together, and I think I've got a winner this time.
I'll tell you what, kid. I'll enter your robot into the fight.
Okay, thanks, mister. So he kind of drops the flap over the window and scuttles, or you hear some scuttling, and he comes off, and somehow he actually comes out on the other side of the alley from where his fortress is. And he kind of pops out from that side and says, all right, mister, here he is. His name is Fido Rex 12.
Nice to meet you, Fido Rex 12.
And it goes, beep, beep,
Were,
hello.
were there 11 other Fidos first?
You're not here. Be quiet. All right, mister. Well, I'll give you a minute. So it looked like you really needed to use the restroom. I mean, anyone who would use that restroom really has to go. So I'll give you a minute.
You don't have a restroom in your fortress, do you?
I mean, I've used the restroom in my fortress a couple of times, but it's not built for it.
Well,
But there actually is a public space porta potty kind of around the corner that's in a little bit better shape. If you want me to show you to it.
you know what? I don't have to go to the bathroom anymore. Let's go
All right.
fight space dogs.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So, meanwhile, back in the bar, Wreckage, are you still just being obnoxious?
I would say by this point I'm walking away thoroughly slapped. So I'm gonna go up to the bar and act like a tough guy and order a grasshopper.
So he looks askance at you on that one as well. And he comes out with something. I mean, it's green and it's creamy and it smells kind of minty. All right, so Kima, you've been sitting at the bar sipping your Cosmopolitan. I would imagine you've been kind of visually perusing the clientele.
I think the word you're looking for is eavesdropping, but yeah.
All right. So there's various topics. It seems like most of it is based around just daily life and happenings on the station. There's actually a couple at one point up on one of the holographic screens. A bulletin comes up with the news, and it says, "And in other news, the Acreon is still in an orbit around the station, being kept separate from all of the rest of the traffic due to the mysterious circumstances of the disappearance of its crew. No further information has been released as of this time, though rampant speculation has been going around the station. And so a couple of the different patrons kind of start discussing what they think is going on with it. And there's a few different theories thrown out. One is just that they had space madness and jettisoned themselves out of the airlocks without their spacesuits. Some people believe that they were captured by pirates who enslaved the entire crew and then set the ship on autopilot as some sort of message to someone. Um, there's some people who think that all of the crew have ascended to a higher plane of being, and we actually need to go in there with spectrometers to detect their presence, and a few other ideas are thrown around. Um, but there doesn't seem to be anything directly related to the level 21 crew. However, you have noticed that off kind of in one of the corners of the bar, there's an attractive Demaya Lushunta, so the tall and kind of slender subtype of the Lushunta, who is kind of sitting in the corner. She's sipping on some sort of dark colored drink, and not too long after you entered, she's started making eye contact with you very purposefully.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to walk over there. No, wait, I have mind power thingies, right? Because we're both Lashinta.
Yep,
I could just use my mindy bits.
you could if you wanted to talk to her using telepathy.
I'm gonna do that. And just be like, excuse me, but I can't help but notice we keep making eye contact. Is it that I'm looking at you or that you're looking at me?
Well, it's hard to say, though. I have to admit it's a bit hard not to be looking at you. Would you be interested in joining me for a drink?
I think I could handle that. So I guess I actually get up and walk over.
All right.
And also, I don't know why you make me roleplay flirting. I am so bad at flirting.
Blah blah blah. I mean, you can't be any worse than I am. So as you come over, she actually electronically places an order for a couple of new drinks. So when you get there, she says, "I've got a couple of drinks on the way, so don't worry about yours running out." So, what brings a pretty young thing like you to the station?
Oh, you know, the same thing as everybody else, business.
Yes, I hear that. Hopefully, you have some time for pleasure, though.
Yes, thankfully, I'm kind of on my own time on this one.
Hmm. That's always helpful when you don't have a deadline breathing down your neck. Oh. Uh, Welcome to the downside. Definitely not the nicest place on the station, but it has its charms.
I do have to say that it's been fairly nice down here, especially compared to some other places I've lived. So, um, especially level 21 seems to be one of the nicer on the downside. So that's good.
Yes, I've noticed that as well. Been here for a couple of months now, and this level is a little bit more pleasant to spend time in. So I spend quite a bit of my time a bit further down, but I come up here every once in a while as a bit of a breather. And would you like to ask her any questions about the level 21 crew or the Downside Kings?
Yes.
Right.
um.
So you've
Okay.
got.
So
Go ahead.
good.
I was going to say you've got. What were you going to say, Rebecca?
I was just going to say that arrived in a bit of a firefight. Seemed to be between the level 21 crew and the Downside Kings. It was a bit of a strange welcome.
Yeah. Well, those two do have a bit of a rivalry. Mostly it's the Downside Kings trying to push into level 21 crew's territory. Level 21 crew are, well, they're pretty set with what they have. I mean, they're named after the level they're on, and they have general control over that level, so they don't see much of a reason to expand beyond what they've already got. And then, Rebecca, if you want to give me a diplomacy check and see what more you can learn.
I'll be right back in like 2 minutes.
Okay.
I'm finding it.
Let's see.
It's plus.
Diplomacy. Yes, +4. Unless you want to use a different skill to try and get information out of her.
I mean, diplomacy is probably the best one I have.
Okay.
Use
Well,
your
if you were
flirtation.
trying to bluff it out of her, you've got a +10 on bluff. But yeah, 17. All
That's
right.
true, but like I don't really want to lie.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
But yeah, the level 21 crew, they're a street gang that, like I said, they claim level 21 of Absalom Station's lower decks as their territory. They're definitely well known for their criminal endeavors, including theft, fencing stolen goods. They do some gambling, the odd bit of prostitution, racketeering, smuggling, the like. But it's fairly well known on this level of the station that even though they may be a criminal gang, they have a reputation for actually promoting community empowerment, and many of the neighborhood residents here actually tolerate or even tacitly endorse their activities. Well, the gang has been known from time to time to hire itself out to defend marginalized and threatened groups or factions. Um, Actually, their leader is an Asogi, real grizzled old fellow, augmentations and the like, named Jabaxa, currently in charge and has been for a while, so he seems to be holding down his position fairly well. The Downside Kings, on the other hand, they're a brutal street gang that controls several decks of Absalom's lower levels. Through a combination of intimidation and violence, they're known to engage in a wide variety of illegal activities as well. Fraud, extortion, robbery, smuggling, theft, but also drug and arms trafficking, kidnapping, murder for hire, and even trafficking in sentient species. Recently, turnover among the Downside Kings has been pretty high. The previous leadership was actually butchered by a human woman named Farani Nadaz, who's been holding on to the group with a fist of iron.
does not sound like a pleasant bunch to be involved with.
No, not particularly, unfortunately. I would suggest definitely trying to avoid their area of the station, especially if you've been involved in a killing that also involved them. They're as likely to try and take you out just to silence you as anything else.
Sound wisdom.
Especially considering, I think I may have heard about this particular incident. I think 3 of their gang members were pretty quickly taken out during the confrontation. I can't imagine they're too terribly happy about that either.
I just want to point out that I had nothing to do with that.
I'm sure you didn't, even though you do look to be capable of taking care of yourself when necessary. All right, so cutting back to the alley out in the back area.
Perfect
You
timing.
are you are carrying a large chainsaw wielding, stinger tail having killer robot, um, and you approach the group of adolescents, and as you get closer, you can see that indeed they have set up a circle of chalk, and sitting in the middle there are two robots currently going at it. One of them is large and stocky, kind of with a gait and large front arms like a gorilla. Um, but in place of its hands are these large auger drills. And the other one seems to be kind of a short triangular robot, um, with a tail coming out the back that is set up with a laser cutter. And the two are pummeling each other. But in the end, the triangular robot has this very thick, dense body with its only weakness being its tail, and the person piloting it seems to be able to keep that out of reach long enough to cut through several important parts of the gorilla, leaving it slumped over with that kind of grayish smoke you see from electronics drifting out of several holes that have been bored directly through its armor. The kids are all shouting excitedly, and few of them dejectedly as cred sticks are changing hands.
So I ping wreckage on my way over with just robot fighting and my location. And I walk up and I say, "Who's ready to lose a robot?"
So one of them, a kind of short human with kind of one stunted arm, and a squinty gaze, looks back at you. He's got long black hair with red and white stripes dyed into it. And he says, "Oh, and you're gonna make that happen, huh, old man? You and what army?"
This army. And I hold up my space dog.
What's that piece of crap supposed to be? Ugh, sad. Well, the entry fee is 100 credits if you really want to lose that badly.
How many credits do I have? I didn't realize this was going to cost me money.
You
I
should at
have
least have that.
373 credits.
And you did get 200 credits as a signing bonus from Chiskisk. So,
Oh, nice.
that's probably not on your sheet yet, but you may have written that down somewhere.
Yeah, I'm in a gambling kind of mood. Let's go.
All right. Wreckage, are you joining him out here? Wreckage has died. Okay. So Wreckage could join you if he feels like it later. But yeah, so they're like, all right, wait your turn. You've got two more guys going before you, and then you can take on whoever wins out of that group. So he holds out a hand. Presumably, you give him the 100 credits on a stick.
Yes.
All right, you hand over a cred stick with 100 credits on it. He kind of flips it over in the electronic equivalent of biting the gold coin, to ensure it's not a fake, and then pockets it in you don't even know where. He's wearing like this loose clothing, and just seems to disappear out of thin air. And so he hands you he scribbles a quick note and then hands you a ticket that basically just says that you're guaranteed your position in the upcoming games. So settling back a little ways as the next two combatants prepare
Hello?
their robots, you settle in with the kid you found. It sounds like Wreckage is back.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. For some reason, my mic wasn't working.
Uh, okay, so
Yeah, I'm making a beeline out there with my drinks. I've got like 2 drinks in each hand.
okay. And this is outside of the facility if you wanted to also have Sparky join you.
Oh
Um,
yeah, definitely.
cool. So the three of you kind of convene out there, you with the drinks. The kid is kind of sitting on the ground with his legs splayed wide, holding the his little robot. And he's got a little multi-tool, and he's taking off some panels and kind of reworking some of the insides. Um, and you can tell,
I
like,
offer the kid one of my drinks.
he's like, "Oh, don't mind if I do." And so he takes one of the least girly looking of the ones that you had, which is probably still not a high bar. Um, and takes like a stiff swig of it and then just like makes this horrible face like he'd been sucking on lemons and then kind of squinting with only one eye open goes, good stuff.
Hey,
um
Wreckage, do you think before this match starts that you could attach this hacking kit to be used remotely to this kid's robot?
Sure. I think I can rig something up.
and as you see the kid kind of working on his robot, you can also tell that for a child, it's definitely pretty impressive. But you notice quite a few mistakes that are little bit amateurish as well. He seems to be fairly self-taught, so if you want to make a roll on an appropriate skill, you could probably give him a little bit of help getting the thing ready for the fight. In addition,
I can do that, right?
yes, an engineering check. That would be the appropriate
Cool.
skill.
I wasn't sure if you were talking to me or to Braun.
Well, you're gonna do the engineering check. I asked the kid if he wants us to make some last minute upgrades.
Oh, upgrades are always, in the right direction. So go for it. But you have to let me watch.
Okay, well, my plan is to hook up this hacking kit internally to your robot to be used remotely. So, in case of an emergency, we can just hack their robot and win.
I had a
So,
plus 11. I was like, there's no way I can botch this. Rolls a
uh,
1.
so unfortunately, Wreckage is drunk, and
Yeah.
just immediately, like he starts going in to fix things, but his hands are just not steady enough, and he starts disconnecting wires. And he's actually making things worse.
All right,
Oh
I'm
boy.
gonna step in.
Does the
I'm gonna
kid
step in and
notice?
take over. He clearly cannot handle machinery right now.
Yeah, the kid definitely notices. He pretty quickly starts like slapping your hands away. And it's like, what are you? What? Stop!
Back off, kid. I'm an expert.
This is my robot. You're messing him up.
Wreckage, back off.
Well, look at the state of this thing. There's wires falling out of it. I gotta fix that.
There
Look,
now.
this amateur kid.
You're drunk, rat man. Go home.
Here, kid. Have one of these. They're really good.
Braun, do you want to try and make an engineering or computers check to try and do some good?
Yeah, I was
Hopefully
gonna
not
make an
roll a one.
engineering check. Can I make a computers check? I
Yeah.
have an extra 1 in computers.
Yeah, I think either of them is applicable for kind of what
God.
you're doing.
I'm horrible at dice. Okay.
An 11. I mean, you didn't roll a 1. So the reason that Wreckage did badly is not because his total was 12. That's kind of just not helpful. He did, like, the
But he
reverse
crit
and made it
failed.
worse because he rolled a 1. You rolled a 5.
Right.
So you're able to kind of get things back where they were before Wreckage got his hands on them. But yeah, so they're like things are back where they were before, but not an improvement.
I got one job, and you guys are taking it away from me. What's up with that?
Here,
What's
hey,
what's up with that, Braun?
how about
Yeah,
this,
Braun.
Mister? I'll do it. You tell me what to do, and then I'll do it because I'm not drunk. So if you would like to roll another engineering check to try and instruct him on what to do.
There we go. All right. So here's what you're gonna do, kid. You got to make sure that the gyroscope, you see, is set up. It what? What'd you say? Oh, you got to make sure the gyroscope is set up, and you got to connect that blue wire there. You got to set it up to the main servos.
Right. So you go on with a bit of a technical tirade, and surprisingly, the kid actually picks up on most of it. There are a few things that he has to ask you to explain, but he seems to actually be pretty sharp all in all when it comes to his engineering knowledge. And you are able to instruct him far better than you were able to do yourself. And pretty quickly, you've kind of got the modifications that you wanted, improved its balance, increased its reaction speed. You're even able to get the hacking kit set up in there. And so you slap on the last few plates of armor and close up the last few hatches just shortly before it is your turn to go into the ring. And so all of you approach the ring, and inside, already waiting, you see this large reptilian-looking robot standing on its hind feet. It has glowing red eyes and spines along its back and a long tail that seems to be providing much of its balance. And you guys kind of get set in there. And let's just have some opposed rolls. We'll take into account Wayne's advantage. So we're going to give the other person an engineering of, let's say, 5. So that is the opponent.
Oh.
And then we've got the kids bonus, and then we've also got the extra help from Wreckage. So give that a total of 15 combined. Let's see how this goes. Bam.
Woo!
All right. So they immediately charge at each other. The Godzilla-looking robot immediately begins belching flames from its mouth, forcing the viewers to kind of take several steps back from the circle in order to avoid any damage. And then it, as it closes in, actually begins to squirt acid from its eyes. Thankfully, the upgrades to the good old dog robot seem to have shorn up any weaknesses and closed up gaps in the armor, and is able to keep its balance despite losing several parts to the acid. And you were able to advise him kind of how to keep the main core components a little bit more protected than those that can be allowed to fail. Halfway through the fight, as the two combatants are both just in rough shape, the dog robot has acid burns, bits of metal missing all across its body, and scorch marks. And but it's gone in with its stinger, which seems to be some sort of hydraulic piston, which jabs out a sharp projectile. And its two chainsaw hands going to work. Tearing off bits of armor and components from its enemy. And Sparky is standing there. His LED display has these enormous wide eyes of just shock. And halfway through, he goes, "Oh, the humanity! I can't look!" and covers his faceplate, which is not even where his camera is, with his little gun hands.
I just reach over with one of my paws and cover up his eye for him.
So it goes on for a few minutes, but in the end, the dog robot is victorious, tearing out the enemy's spine with a vicious snap and a robotic howl of victory. And you can see the majority of the children, or adolescents, I should say, that made up the circle look pretty upset. You can actually, Braun, you notice several of them starting to try and slink off as as it becomes more apparent that the dog is going to win. And so the combat comes to a close, and the kid with the withered hand comes up to you and says, "Well, mister, I guess you won. Don't know how. That thing looks like it was made out of milk cartons and scrap metal. Anyway, here's your payout. A few of the other kids snuck off before they handed their money in, so unfortunately, this isn't all of it." So he hands you back your original 100 credits that you put in to enter the competition, plus about 300 more.
Wow, that's more than I thought. I won't even bother trying to wrangle the other guys who bailed.
All right.
But I immediately give all of the money to my new friend.
Including the 100 that you put in, or just the extra?
No, all the winnings. I take my 100 back.
Okay.
That's my stake.
Cool. So you hand over a fat cred stick with laden down quite heavily, and of course it's electronic, so there's no actual extra weight to it except for a few extra microns that might be in there to store the data. But yeah, you hand that over to the kid, and he kind of hefts it and says, "Oh man, this is more credits than I think I've ever had in my life. This is
Enjoy it, kid.
awesome." All right.
What's your
and,
name anyway?
Oh, my name is Timmy.
Well, enjoy your credits, Timmy.
Yeah. Oh, and he kind of sets off the one credit that is yours and says, "And just like I promised, mister, here is a credit."
You can keep it, Timmy.
You sure about that?
Yeah, keep your credit. But let me ask you a
Okay.
question.
Yeah. I definitely can give you information.
How much do you know about the level 21 crew?
Well,
Or the Downside Kings?
I really probably shouldn't tell you this, but I think I can trust you. Can you keep a secret, mister?
Oh, I can keep a secret.
Pinky swear?
Pinky swear, thumb kiss, woogie woogie.
Okay. Well, my daddy actually is part of the level 21 crew. And, well, they got a job recently that he's been working on. You see, there's a group of these miner guys called the Scrabble Collective or something. I think they play board games, but they mine too. I remember that. Um, but yeah, they hired our crew for protection because they're in a spat with these other guys, the Downside Kings. And the Downside Kings, they got hired by someone else. We don't know who, but they started making threats on this other dwarf who's a friend of my dad's. His name is Creel Dorvor or something like that. Anyway, I've only met him a couple of times. He seemed nice. He brought me presents. Um, but they were threatening him, and so the Scrabble Collective, they hired my daddy and some of the other people on the level 21 crew to protect him. Uh, and you know what? I can actually tell you how you can get in touch with the guy, the boss, Mr. Jabaxa. Or I guess you would probably say Uncle Jabaxa. Uncle Jabaxa? So there's a bodega around here called Mama Fat's Bodega. And if you ever need to get a hold of Jabaxa, if you want to talk to him, then what you need to go is you go there and you order the look up a planet name. Excuse me one moment. Yes, I was
So I
right.
just have to ask out of character, is Timmy's name Timmy Two Hands?
Nope, just Timmy. Um, but uh, anyway, if you go and you go to Mama Fat's Bodega and you order the Eoxian egg salad sandwich, she'll get you in touch.
Wow, when Timmy squeals, Timmy really squeals.
All right, thanks, Timmy. I will go there
Who
and
just
order
made
the
his day?
Eoxian egg salad sandwich.
Yeah. But don't tell anybody I told you any of that, or I might get in trouble.
All right, well, I appreciate it, Timmy. Enjoy your credits.
I will. And he scampers off around a corner, um, very excitedly, with the cred stick in in his pocket and his poor defaced robot held aloft in the other hand. He seems very excited about his victory here.
All right, and I'm actually getting a phone call. I need to take a 5-minute break.
Cool. So we'll go back to the interior. So you and your friend have been chatting for a while. Any particular topics that you've been hitting on aside from her? Bum bum bum.
But
I was just gonna be like general flirtation.
Yep. Um. So have you exchanged names? PID numbers?
Yes.
So as a reminder, PID is a personal information device. It's basically a coverall for, whatever shape your device takes. That's basically your space cell phone. So like in the example of wreckage, it's an eyepiece. You, I think you have like basically a phone, like a separate tablet type device that you pull out. And
I probably have
Borgor,
like the equivalent of an old school flip phone.
yeah. And then Braun has basically like a wrist mounted device that kind of can project a screen. He needs more screen space. But anyway, so you were saying that you had exchanged PID numbers and names?
I assume so.
All right. So her name is May. And you've kind of learned that she's similar to you. She's on the station for business. She's been um, working a couple of different jobs. She says that she's got some corporate interests as well as some some interests down here. Based off of what she has said and kind of what you kind of been able to garner from the way she moves and the way she talks, she seems to be a very capable individual when it comes to taking care of herself. So you might suspect that perhaps she's a bit of like a corporate agent, maybe. Um, or a mercenary for hire, or perhaps a private investigator, something along those lines. I would assume you haven't pried too hard into the exact details.
Yeah, seems like something I would like to know less about, because I'm more interested in her than, what she's doing, I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to make another diplomacy check to see if you can find out any more about the two gangs? Or would you like to
Sure.
ask into maybe something about Dwarvor Creel to see if you could find anything about him? Or maybe you could ask about Disney or the Hardscrabble
Let's
Collective.
let's do the Disney and Hardscrabble Collective, because that's probably what I'm kind of more interested in right now. Because I know I need to go check out the Downside Kings for stuff.
Okay.
And then, obviously, I'm not telling her what I'm here for.
Yeah. Now, of course, you're probably similar to her, just through conversation. If she's being particularly canny about it, she's probably also picking up a few things here and there, maybe making some educated guesses. Unless you want to make a bluff check to be
Oh, it's just
especially
I think
obtuse.
I'm gonna make a bluff check and just see how well I can hide things, because not saying is also a type of lie.
Yeah. Okay, so that's going to be an opposed bluff check. Your bluff against her sense motive.
Came out to 26.
All right. I don't think she had. Yeah, it's mathematically impossible for her to do better than that.
So I just seem like a asshole here on Disney.
Yes, you. This is not your first rodeo when it comes to trying to keep your actual intentions and plans under wraps. So you are very adept at keeping things to yourself and keeping track of what lies you use and keeping all of your information straight and not contradicting yourself. So yeah, you why don't you give me the diplomacy check and let's see if you learn more. All right. So 15. So she doesn't seem to know anything about Dwarvor Creel, or at least says as much. When you ask her about astral extractions, there's some information, or not astral extractions. I keep forgetting that we changed their name to Disney. When you there's some information you kind of already knew about Disney. So Disney is a powerful mining conglomerate, mining and entertainment, obviously. With business ties throughout the Pact Worlds. Most of the company's operations are centered in the diaspora and the rocky moons of the outer planets, but it has also begun sending out scout vessels into the vast in search of new claims. The company recently hired one of the Hardscrabble Collective's ships, the Acreon, for one of these exploratory missions. And you would also know that Disney is definitely suspected of various less than legal or extra legal or barely legal activities. They've been a bit of a target for you, given your activities.
This is why they must go down.
Yes, they've enacted many quote unquote human rights. I say human because I don't know what the better term for that is. Sentient species right violations. They've taken land from native populations of planets that are still developing and just mined without permission. They've destroyed entire planets' ecologies and stuff like that. So when you start asking about astral extractions, May seems to get a little bit more cagey, but she does say that, yeah, unfortunate astral extractions. If I say astral extractions, I mean Disney, but I'll try to keep those straight. Yeah, on the public face, Disney is, yeah, they try to pretend to be an ethical and respectful corporation, but outside of the public eye, some say the company uses hired muscle, corporate mercenaries, strikebreakers, and even criminal elements as proxies to intimidate and threaten those who stand in its way. And then when you kind of bring up the Hardscrabble Collective, she says, yeah, I've had some dealings with them. Nothing too crazy, fortunately. They're a clan of stubborn asteroid miners, mostly dwarves. They tend to be the type. They operate primarily among the scattered planetoids of the diaspora, and they have no official base of operations, but the clan members usually view the Armada, which is, if you are new to the area, that's the ever-changing fleet of ships that orbit Absalom Station, as a central gathering place. The collective crews hire their ships out to a wide variety of business concerns, including they have been known to work for Disney, which recently employed their ship, the Acreon, the one that's all on the news. They were hired to scout for new mining prospects out in the Vast. I don't know why I said that with a K. And while the Hardscrabble Collective calls itself a clan, it's more of a cooperative business enterprise, a coalition of dozens of ships and crews who've banded together for mutual benefit and safety. And while some of the collective's members are related, most of them are individuals from a dozen different races: humans, dwarves, androids, Ahsoki, and, more. Nevertheless, the Hardscrabble Collective is as tightly knit as many families, and members fiercely look after one another's welfare. Are you involved in any way in the spat between Astral Extractions and Hardscrabble Collective? I mean, I'm as curious as anyone else on what's going on with the Acreon, so if you've got any juicy gossip, I'd love to hear it.
Well, I can't say I really do yet, but I definitely plan to invest.
Well, you'll have to keep me abreast of it if you make any progress on that investigation. I'm very curious on that whole thing.
I definitely think that can be arranged. What would you think about, tomorrow night, say around dinner time?
I think that can be arranged. You have anywhere in particular in mind?
I
I have a few suggestions.
was thinking,
If you don't have any ideas.
well, I am new to the area, so I would love to hear what suggestions you.
All right. Well, there's actually this one place that I've really wanted to go to in the puddles. It's supposed to have a rather incredible view between the aquatic portion of the station with all of the different fish and aquatic life swimming about in the background, and then it's got a view straight out into space. It's supposed to be beautiful and very good food. If you're interested in going that far, that might be a place to check out.
Sounds like the perfect place.
All right. Well, tomorrow it is then.
I can't wait. And I'm assuming at this point we're headed out because
Yeah.
they finished the robot thing and whatnot.
So at this point, yeah, she says, "Well, it's probably about time for me to head off. I've been drinking for longer than is good for me anyway. I'll catch you later." And she heads out with a wink. And then at that point, yeah, shortly after, you hear the back door kind of open, and unless you guys for some reason walked around the entire building to come in the front, you see Braun and Wreckage heading back in, looking very excited. Wreckage is slightly singed. He, being drunk, didn't react quickly enough to the flames coming off of Mechagodzilla.
I'm gonna pat his singed bits and be like, looks like somebody needs a good bath.
I throw up.
Gross! Oh, why, Wreckage?
I feel a lot better now.
Could have seen that one coming.
I guess I'm just gonna kind of like sort of herd him towards the door and home.
Alrighty.
All right, Rec, let's get you cleaned up.
I thought the party just started.
This party's over.
Aw, look at that. Baby taking right after his daddy.
Okay, so you guys are making your way back along the corridors, and you make your way up a couple of different not stations, floors on the station, and you guys find yourself in wait, what? Do what I want. A long hallway, which it's not a hallway yet, but it will be in a moment. Trust me. And making your way there. And to this one. There we go. Working. There we go. Okay, does it look like a hallway now to you guys? More or less.
Sorta.
Is there at least a lit up part and a dark part?
Yes.
Okay, I think. Let's see. I think I know what I need to do. Got 1 second. Okay, now does it look like a hallway?
Yes.
um. So yeah, you guys are making your way along from over here. When you hear some strange rattling noises coming from the vents, and then a raspy voice coming from one of the vents above you says, "And lo, the heroes arrive upon the station as foretold in prophecy, and were known to those of the I don't know what I was going for there. Anyway, as foretold long ago, prophecy, and those seers among us who can ascertain the future."
What the pronk?
Ah, great heroes, you know not what role you shall play in this universe, for lo, thou hast such a finite vision, but thou hast a great and prominent role to play in events that are herefore to come. From whence hast thou come, and to whence shalt thou go? Time shall tell, but I shall not.
What a weirdo.
And then
Yeah.
dropping out of the vents in front of you, a goblin appears.
Oh my god, I drank more than I thought. You
Followed
guys see this too?
followed by several others that scuttle out of the vents behind him. Greetings, heroes.
Greetings yourself.
Wherefore art thou headed on this fine evening?
Bed, and this one needs a bath. I point at the singed rat.
Bad Fuzzle can see that perhaps thou art in need of rest. Well,
I barf in his general direction.
he nimbly dodges away. Thou shalt know, though, as thou art heroes, and heroes cannot become what the universe needs of them without adversity. There, shortly hereforto, thou shalt come upon just such an adversity, and shouldst thou come out of such an encounter victorious, you shall do much to prove your worth.
Is this a threat? Are you trying to fight us?
Oh, no, indeed. Oh, Bad Fuzzle does not wish to fight great and mighty heroes, but great and mighty heroes shall indeed face combat and trials. You must be prepared for the road ahead of you, for if thou art weak, thou shalt find thyself quickly set upon and crushed. The hardships that you have faced up until this time shall soon feel as if they were nothing in the face of what is to come.
Kima's just making very confused faces and basically thinking, yeah, this is why I'm one of the fighter Sokis and not a Soki, fighter Lashunta
Mm-hmm.
and not one of the smart Lashunta
Yeah,
because
a
none of this makes
Karasha
sense.
instead of a Demaya.
Yeah.
Oh, very well, heroes.
Well, we thank you for the kind warning. Now, please let us be on our way.
Of course. Where else should you be other than on your way? Heed my words, heroes. Heed them. And then they scuttle off back into the vents.
Well, that certainly was odd.
Alright, so you guys proceed. You're going back to the space B&B, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if now's a good time to stop, I would like to call it here. I have to
Okay.
go pretty
How
soon.
about we go just a minute further, and then we'll call it.
Sounds good.
So you guys continue on your way, and then eventually the another area where the hallway constricts kind of comes up, and you see standing in your way, almost as if they were waiting for you. You stop being ridiculous and let me control things. No,
Oh no.
it's not what I want. You see standing in front of you a group of very disreputable looking individuals. And they have these large, long red leather jackets emblazoned with the letters SAM across them. And they stand directly in your way of going any further.
These guys show up every game. They're trans-dimensional teleporters or something.
And the leader in the front says, "Well then, I suppose you think you could use this station's hallways and various walkways to your own benefit without having to pay the tour, don't you?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I'll let you know something. Absalom Station was created by the humans for the humans, and I don't see me any humans here. So, if you guys would like to just turn around and head back the way you came, I suppose you might keep all of your bones in one piece. His accent was all over the place. Right then, so if you be turning
Just
around and
like
going back
Donald
the way you came, you're gonna be keeping all your bones in one piece. Otherwise, I'll be making a shillelagh out of your ass socks.
Quick huddle, guys.
This is the
And
guy I should have barfed in his general direction.
at that point, as you are huddling, the group is menacingly hefting pipes and chains, we fade out with the words "to be continued."
Nice.
So wasn't able to work in the combat this session, but
No,
next
this is
session,
a good
Jason, I
setup.
promise.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. So let's go ahead and wrap up like we always do. And what did Wreckage learn?
Well, first of all, I want to say, considering how our brains and our dice have been working, I'm glad we didn't have a fight.
It's true. You just roll natural ones the entire time and get
I know.
curb stomped.
Okay. So Wreckage learned that grasshoppers are worse for him than he thought, and he's probably never going to touch them again.
Yeah, I mean, especially
And
also because there was a literal grasshopper floating in your grasshopper. That didn't help.
and additional education. Don't work on robots when you're drunk.
Yep.
The 2 lessons, twofer. It's a
All
twofer.
right. There you go. I'm not letting you off the hook next time, though. You're just gonna have to keep going. All right, Braun, what have you learned?
Braun learned that sometimes side quests turned out to be the main quest.
Yeah. And hopefully that was fun, especially considering I just completely made up that entire thing on the spot. You were just like, I'm going in the alley because that's where shady stuff happens. And I'm like, okay, shady stuff has to happen now.
No, that was a good one. I enjoyed
Awesome.
it.
Glad that was fun. Kima, what have you learned?
Kima learned a lot of stuff about games and where she's definitely going, even though she's probably should.
Bum, bum, bum. There you go. And then also do keep in mind that with the reboot, the characters that you meet won't be exactly the same as before, so don't try to metagame too much. It might bite you. But yeah, so with that said, thanks everybody for joining me, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye!
Bye.
I